Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as Mormons, are required to pay 10% of their income to the church. This practice is known as tithing. Paying tithing ensures that members are worthy of entering the temple and participating in ordinances that allow them to reach the highest kingdom of exaltation, in other words, the highest level of heaven. So it's not by chance that although the church is very small, only about 0.2% of the world's population, the Mormon Church is the richest church in the world. Although church members will sometimes claim that tithing is not a requirement, unfortunately it is a requirement, not only for baptism into the church, but also for entry into the Mormon temple. Only church members who pay a full tithing can receive temple ordinances. You may also notice a scare tactic here. Those who pay tithing will not be burned at the second coming. And because tithing is required to enter the temple, it is also required to make it to the highest level of heaven, known within Mormonism as the Celestial Kingdom. And sadly, according to Mormon teachings, the Celestial Kingdom is the only place you can be with your family forever. With all of this in mind, is it any wonder that church members feel obligated to pay their 10%, even while their church sits on billions and billions of dollars?
Those who walk in holiness before the Lord, which includes the payment of tithing, will have an eternal family at the last day. And those who do not pay tithing will have none. Tithing is necessary in order to receive the blessings of the temple. If a man were to keep all the Lord's commandments with exception of tithing, he could still never be married for time and all eternity in the temple. Tithing, then, is one of the bedrock foundation principles of exaltation.
The sentiment of they can't afford to needs to be replaced with they can't afford not to. One of the first things a bishop must do to help the needy is ask them to pay their tithing.
All too often, the church tries to use uncomfortable methods like guilt or shame to try to get members to pay. Like in this example, it is your obligation to God to pay your tithing, and you'll do it if you love Him. Or this one, a man who has not paid his tithing is unfit to be baptized for his dead, referring to the baptisms for the dead that take place in the temple. The church has also taught that members should pay tithing before they pay their bills, before they pay their rent, and even pay tithing if they don't have enough money to feed their families. They teach that all members who have income should pay tithing, no matter how poor. The current prophet of the Mormon Church, Russell M. Nelson, said this while preaching to members in Kenya. "We preach tithing to the poor people of the world because the poor people of the world have had cycles of poverty, generation after generation. That same poverty continues from one generation to another until people pay their tithing." Over and over, members are taught that not paying their tithing will have eternal consequences. They are constantly reminded that tithing is a commandment, an obligation, it is required, and failure to pay is a transgression, a sin. But don't worry, your loyalty, your payment will open up the gates of heaven. Meanwhile, as many of us know, the church has been straight up dishonest about its finances.
The church is not wealthy, but our church has no paid ministry.
And who checks if members are paying their tithing? That would be their bishop. If a church member wants to enter the temple, they have to answer a series of questions that let their bishop know whether or not they're worthy to enter the temple. One of those questions is, are you a full tithe payer? On top of that, once a year, members meet with their bishops to declare their status as a tithe payer. It's like a little audit of your contributions to the church. And if you haven't been paying, well, then it's a good time to start repenting of your sin. And what if a member lies through their interview to get into the temple? They're warned of eternal consequences, just the same as if they didn't pay their tithing. This church is financially exploiting its members. And if they stopped collecting tithing today, they would still have enough money to fund their endeavors in perpetuity.